In today's video, we're checking out the Artist PBB01 battery bank power supply from Artist Guitars. This power supply does 7 things that your One Spot won't. While I'm a huge fan of the One Spot power supply and I've been using them for years, the PBB01 has a few additional benefits and features over the One Spot that I'll showcase in this video. Unlike the One Spot, the Artist pedal battery bank doesn't require a wall socket connection for operation, and it will give you up to 6.5 hours of battery life with all of the outputs being utilized. If you are using low draw pedals, it will no doubt increase the runtime, but the official runtime is 6.5 hours. 6.5 hours of runtime is long enough for any of the gigs that I've ever done. It's also long enough to record basically here in the studio all day without needing to recharge the unit. The second thing that the PBB01 battery bank can do over a One Spot is power your tablet, smartphone, or USB device thanks to this USB output. This is especially handy for folks who read lyrics off a tablet at a gig, or if you need to recharge your phone in a pinch, you have that option with this particular unit. Being that it powers USB devices essentially means it can power anything else that you generally require a USB power socket for, including lights, Bluetooth speakers, MP3 players, and anything else. The third benefit to the Artist PBB01 is that it reduces any ground loop or potential hum issues that you might experience with a regular power supply. Now, not everyone will experience this ground loop or hum issue with a wall socket based power supply, but it can happen and sometimes it can be a nightmare. Having a battery powered power supply unit makes it far less likely that any sort of hum or noise will ruin your signal chain. The fourth biggest advantage that you'll find over a One Spot power supply is that we get LED indicators letting you know that the power supply is currently on. We also get LED indicators on the side letting you know that the unit is either low on battery, whether it's charging, or if it's fully charged. While having LED indicators might not seem like a big advantage, if you've ever played live, you can see the importance of them because it makes troubleshooting much easier. If the lights aren't blue, the power supply is not on. I've lost track of the amount of times I've used my One Spot where it's not connected into the wall properly, and I'm trying to work out why there's no power. The fifth biggest advantage to this power supply over the One Spot is its low and compact form factor. It's far easier to store within your pedal board, or you can simply Velcro this to the bottom of any pedal board and you don't have to worry about bunching cables in a bag like I've been doing for years. The form factor of this is a huge benefit. The sixth reason to go for this is value for money. This comes in at 69 Australian dollars, which is an absolute bargain for this type of technology. Unlike the One Spot where you only get the power supply included in the regular pack, this Artist power supply unit comes with 7 power cables. This saves you having to buy a daisy chain to run between them all. If you already own one of those multi-pin connectors and you prefer to use that, and you've only got a handful of pedals on the floor, you can run it out of the 300 milliamp output and power those pedals just with one connection. This essentially gives you a few extra pedals that this can power all within the chain. One of the things that I've never enjoyed about the One Spot has something to do with its physical design. If you're in a situation where the only power socket on the wall is so low to the ground that you have to bend the cable out, this isn't good for the actual power supply. You either need an extension cable or some sort of power board to basically eliminate this issue. At my house, it's not an issue, but many venues I play at have the power sockets right along the bottom of the skirting boards, right along the floor, which will wreck the cable going to the One Spot brick. This is what destroyed my last one. This type of cable stress is completely eliminated with this little guy right here. Most battery banks like this are either far more expensive or cheaper with far fewer options, like this Harley Benton one for example. But we only get one output, and for whatever reason this is so noisy in my signal chain that it renders it useless. But it does have this really cool feature. Look at this. Get an LED light. That's pretty cool. This doesn't have it. Included in the box, we get the power supply, 7 power cables from going from the power supply to each of your pedals, and a USB cable for charging the unit itself. To charge the unit, you can simply use an iPhone or Android style phone charger and you'll be good to go. My only nitpick with this entire setup is that Artist Guitars didn't include any of those right angle power connectors, which saves so much more space on both sides of your setup. For pedals that have a side-mounted power input like the VS Audio Vibler, these straight cables aren't the best solution. The right angle cables also make mounting this on a pedal board a whole lot easier if you choose to do that. Being that you can buy a bunch of those right angle connectors online pretty cheap, it's definitely not a deal breaker, but it was worth mentioning. For those new to power supplies like this, we get 7 9-volt 100 milliamp outputs and a single 9-volt 300 milliamp output. Now, I could run any of my pedals into any of these providing that they all run on 9 volts. The 300 milliamp one will push pedals that require more power, something like a Strymon, for example, or some wah pedals, but generally speaking, you can plug into any of these and there won't be any adverse side effects when it comes to damage to your pedals. As long as they're 9 volt DC it will take the power that it needs from this unit. All in all, this is a great little power supply. At 69 Australian dollars, you can power your entire pedal board without adding any noise or hum into your signal. You can simply run it via the 300 milliamp out if you've only got a few pedals with a daisy chain, or of course you can use the provided cables to go individually out into each of your pedals. Either way, it didn't cause any problems with my signal chain, and I've been using this for quite some time. Thanks to Artist Guitars for sending this out for the video. I really appreciate it. If you want to check this out, I'll link it down below. Thanks again for watching. Catch you soon. See ya.